Welcome, Galactic family. The divine plan for your awakenings is unfolding in the only way you can, perfectly. There is only the Father/Mother/God, the Source, the love that, by its nature is always perfect. There is no other possibility, since you are all God's divine children and each of you, without exceptions of any kind, is perfect. However, as humans, having chosen to build and enter the illusion and become involved in the game of separation, the only one available, undoubtedly, it seems that you, humanity, are far from perfect. And in the illusory environment in which they seem to have their only existences, definitely the game they are playing, is a game of conflict, judgment, guilt and just punishment. Physicality, the arena of form and matter, is very small compared to reality. Too small to be recognized because it is not real. It's just a collective dream or nightmare that you all created and supported for seeming ages of time, which, too, is unreal. And within the human collective there really is a large number of injured people who rightly were judged to be insane by human standards because their beliefs and behaviors would generally be far beyond what is acceptable to the rest of you. But, in fact, all illusion is an insane and unreal state. As we have always been told, and we, here in the spiritual realms, we keep reminding you, only love exists. Everything else, except that nothing exists, is unreal and that you will wake up. The whole human experience is related to the awakening of the illusion they have built and, where they have chosen to hide, by forgetting their true natures. It seems they have worked on it for ages, since civilizations, cultures, nations, empires and various religious beliefs and practices have come and gone. In fact, they only slept and dreamed for a moment. However, during the seemingly endless ages that have passed, as an important aspect of the illusion, there has been much fear, pain and suffering. Now, finally, the collective choice, the decision and the intention to awaken and return to full consciousness, to the full knowledge of their real natures has been taken. This choice was inevitable, and therefore the divine plan to help them was established the very moment they chose to experience separation. The only choice and intention that each of you now has to make is to complete your individual parts in that plane, and because there seem to be so many of you, there are many different parts or paths available to the human collective. For them to advance, it is only necessary that they advance with their inner knowledge, their divinely guided intuitions, where they will make their parts and follow their paths. Because of the intense sense of separation they experience, it was essential to provide many ways home. In fact, they are all the same way, keeping their intention to be loving at all times and in all situations, where their individual ways are something like when they are working in a specific group for the same purpose, in which their walks seem unique to each of you and which, for all intents and purposes, are. In fact, the path of another will not serve you and your path will serve no one else. They cannot show the way to other people, they can only support them, since they do their best to follow the paths they have established for themselves. Remember that in the spiritual realms each of you has a huge support team, willing to help you, but that needs to be called in, that, unless you call her, she cannot do it. As in so many of our messages channeled from here, from the spiritual realms, which they have told and continue to remind them, they have been created in love and eternal joy, and that even within the limits and constraints of illusion and their human forms they may be in joy. When they go through excessive time, as many do, in fear and anxiety, they block their God-given creative abilities more sharply than their choice to be in the illusion with all their limitations and demands. They can change the way they experience life. Your feelings and emotions offer pertinent information, and each of you has to decide how to use that information. Many have found this written in self-help books and held workshops to spread this knowledge. But reading books or attending workshops is not enough. This can only inspire, elevate and suggest you how to move forward. Also, they have a choice in changing the way they live their lives to move forward. Will they embrace the opportunities offered to them or reject them, or even refuse to be aware of them? Remember that during life in the illusion, everyone is in their games and therefore can change the rules of the game at any time. Choosing to be always loving, no matter what comes up, is a huge factor that influences the rules of the game. As noted above, you all have your own individual paths to follow for awakening, and to follow that path, you must be loving, free from any sense of victimization, resentment, jealousy, or bitterness. After all, they are on the paths they have planned before incarnating and, whatever it is the result of this planning. They were lessons you wanted to learn, presented exactly as planned, though, depending on you, accepting and learning from them. There are many examples of people who in their lives have suffered enormous traumas, emotional and physical, and who, having accepted them, have grown into the fullness of who they truly are. You, too, can do this without having to undergo an enormous emotional and physical turmoil to do so. Once that happens, they will be strong enough to overcome all obstacles that seem to prevent, obstruct or divert them from their ways and engulf them in doubt and suffering. They are all love. Love that is within you in every moment of your eternal existences. Then engage with Him and discover who you are, who can be fully present and aware of it, and at all times deal satisfactorily with all the issues that arise. Once you really recognize and accept that you are powerful beings and then live and behave from that state, you will find yourself in peace, even in adverse circumstances. Let this knowledge go daily to a place of power. Its sanctuaries are sacred altars, and, opening their hearts to the loving embrace that there is always waiting for them. Your loving brother, Jesus.